Welcome in, feminine, to the Enlightened Goddess Key. Thank you so much for being present, my goddesses and gods. It's your girl, Goddess Wise, and we're going to get into today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and cleanse the energy with a bit of a sound bath. If you are sensitive to sound, I would advise you turn your speakers down a bit or your headphones down. But definitely leave it up loud enough that you can get the effects of the sound bath, because it does pull out the impurities that we're carrying within us. All right, here we go. Now take a deep breath in, hold at the top, and blow out nice and easy. All right, and now we've reset our nervous system. All right, so if you've seen the title, we're gonna get into the divine feminine archetype as well as the sovereign feminine archetype. Now, I know many of us know already the divine feminine. We've heard of it. That's the one that's most common. But no one really talks too much about becoming a sovereign feminine. And to become a sovereign feminine, you're pretty much making a decision that healing is your mission. This is going to be your life's work. It's not, I have aspects of me that need to be improved. It's no, I'm working on improving myself so deep that I free my inner child. That's how deep you're going when it comes to diving into becoming a sovereign feminine. So I did get some notes. I got a lot of downloads while I was in the gym today. It was lovely. I love when I raise my vibration and my downloads start just coming in so much quicker. So I definitely gonna tell you, like, vibration matters. Where you are energetically matters, because it will completely dictate how deep into your spiritual practices you can go. And for me, the gym is one that I've tried deducting from my practices, because I do know that being sore takes away from my ability to sense through my clear sentience. So I don't feel as deeply, because I'll be feeling a bit like, oh my gosh, I feel sore. My legs hurt. So I do know that that is one of the effects that I didn't really like so much. I did take a break from the gym, but I found my energy could not maintain being at its high performance. So the gym is a must for me. It's a must. And this is something that you need to figure out for yourself as well. What are your non-negotiables when it comes to your development? We all have non-negotiables, as you should, because each and every one of us is a soul living out an experience, which means there are aspects of your soul that, even if you don't realize that there are things that you identify with as a need, they are. And that is okay. When you fully accept that those things that you need don't need to be replaced, that they need to be embraced, you start moving really deep in your spiritual development. So that may be a video for another time. I'll try to remember that one and write that down later. But yes, we're going to get into the sovereign feminine versus the divine feminine. I did put my notes on my phone, because at the gym, it's not like I'm going without a book. So what we know about the divine feminine is that she embodies a lot of different characteristics. We know that compassion is one of them. When we talk about a woman who is walking in her divinity, she's compassionate to all. Now, it doesn't mean that she is embodying that compassion as a weakness, but she does understand that in order to give off the energy of nurture, she has to be compassionate. Creativity and receptivity are also very important. A divine feminine operates out of her ability to make things. Now, When we say make, I'm not talking about get you a hammer and start building a house. If that is your thing, though, then it's your thing. Like I said, everybody has a thing. But I'm not saying work as the label work gets put on things. But I mean work as in play. As long as your work is play, you are in your receptivity. Now, we also talk about connection to source and nature, life cycles, and intuition. So these are the fundamental aspects of being a divine feminine. Now, when it comes to being a sacred feminine, a sovereign sacred feminine, she embodies a bit more because she embraces the aspects of her feminine self that encourage autonomy. This is when you begin to live in your truth so deeply that you could care less about external judgment. And this is an important part to get to. A lot of us don't reach this part, but this point it's a beautiful place where you live carefree to the judgment of others. And we all deserve to live carefree to the judgment of every other person on this planet, because what is yours. The same way how you own your experiences and no one could ever tell you how you felt and why you felt what you felt, you can own your own life the same way. You embody confidence and self-authority when you are in your sovereign feminine. Now, one aspect that I did come up with that I was hearing very loudly was, in order to commit to a life with Christ where He is the head and you are 100% doing away with the world, you have to get to sovereign feminine energy. Because it's in that energy you are no longer walking under the coverage of the world's rules. You are only under God's rules, and He has full protection over you when you are in your sovereign feminine. Now, I know this area very much because that is where I am. I have finally achieved sovereign feminine. Can I tell you, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I remember a lot of my life, I dealt with a lot of judgment from childhood all the way up to the point that where most people, they normally would change who they are so that they weren't getting so much judgment. Changing was not an option for me because I was never good at wearing a mask that had me pretend to be something different. A mask that could hide me. So I'd be good at wearing a cloak, an invisibility cloak, but not so much the mask. So instead of conforming, I'd rather just exclude myself completely. It was as if I made a choice, even from young, that if I couldn't be a part of the group as I was, then I guess I couldn't be a part of the group. Now that I'm older, I realize how brave of a decision that is for a young soul to make and to commit to their entire life, which is why stepping into sovereign feminine energy was, I want to say, almost an easy choice. Now, it wasn't an easy process because you do have to, again, accept all aspects of who you are. And there were parts of me that I had trouble accepting because I had shoved them down so deeply to become invisible that I forgot that they existed. So those aspects of me, I had to reawaken them. I had to go inward and reawaken the part where I was able to speak my truth out loud, where I knew my truth inward. I was very reluctant to speak it out loud due to the criticism and judgment. So I knew safety was in silence. There was also understanding like that I needed to accept that I had been closed off, that I was forced into hiding, so that I could be able to say, you know what, it's time for me to step out of hiding. Because for a long time it was, oh, you're hiding yourself. And yet when I was sitting in meditation, of course, the Holy Spirit would be like, you're hiding yourself. And I'd say, no, I'm not. I just like being alone. There was a very big difference. It's one thing to enjoy the company of the Holy Spirit in the presence of the Lord and being in a meditative state and enjoying the 5D access. And it's a completely different thing when you want to avoid the 3D altogether because you just do not feel like you connect with it. Or just being in the 3D, you try to minimize your time because you just know where you feel safest. And the 5D was it for me. So it was all of these aspects of who I am and the choices of who I was becoming that helped me walk into becoming the sovereign feminine. Now, I did have a couple other things. So the divine feminine, it usually talks about not one, you got to understand that we all have divine feminine in us. So again, my masculines who are here, thank you for being present. You have feminine within you too. You do. And so you're embracing those feminine aspects of yourself. Now, a lot of masculines are not okay with hearing this out loud because they feel like it makes them less masculine, and it does not. If you receive in any kind of way, that is considered feminine energy. In order for you to have a relationship and receive love, you both must be in Venus energy. That is receptivity. If you are a creative, feminines create. It's just how it naturally is. We birth ideas. If you've created a business, you've given birth to a business, to an idea. That is feminine energy. So embracing that this is a part of you, regardless of if you are masculine or feminine, it's definitely going to be the kicker. Now, one thing I definitely want to say is everyone should strive to become a divine feminine within their own right. Everyone should. Sovereign feminine, that is a choice that you make in your life depending on what route you're going in your spirituality. But to be divine is to live along the lines of a moral caliber that is untainted. So we all should be striving for divinity. Masculine, feminine, male, female, doesn't matter. We all should be striving toward divinity. Sovereign is a choice to connect with your inner child and then also connect that inner child to creation, to source. It's almost as if giving yourself back to the Lord in a way. Now, I personally do feel like there is a step above just being a sovereign feminine. And that is, I touched on it before, sovereign sacred feminine. Now, she still lives by the same rules of a sovereign feminine. Unwaveringly herself. She is unapologetically who she is. She accepts and integrates every aspect of her being. And what I feel most important that makes her sacred is that she's so connected to source that every choice she makes within herself is towards source. Now, I'll explain that one a little deeper. Now, when you are a sovereign sacred feminine, again, you don't play by the rules of the world. So the world can't sway how you feel. The only thing that matters to you is how you feel when it comes to your creator, and how your creator feels about you, your moves, your choices, your decisions. If all of your decisions are not governed by what God would want for you, it is a no. And that is a difference from becoming a sacred, sovereign feminine, or sovereign, sacred feminine. Either or, say it both ways. So for me, when I decided that I was going to live in service of the Lord, I'm making a choice that there are things that I will not commit to. Where it is okay to have a drink, and it's not as if I would ever be punished by my creative. I choose not to, because I choose not to taint the vessel. Where I could take days off and not connect to source, and I know God will still be waiting for me with his arms open, and no malice, no anger, no frustration, just waiting for me to come back to him. I choose to never be disconnected. All of these are aspects of becoming a sovereign, sacred feminine, because your life now is given to Christ. Getting a download. So I'm getting that it compares to, in religion, becoming a nun versus just being a Catholic. Good one. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Most of us already know that, nuns, they take a sacred oath to belong to God. It's kind of the same thing. You are making a choice to belong to the Creator. You already belong to him. He pretty much is the creator. He created you. So you belong to him anyway. But now you are saying, I'm going to live as if I belong to you. And I want you to know that I'm going to live as if I belong to you. And I want the world to know that I'm going to live as if I belong to you. And still be able to live in the world the way I want to, and choose not to. And I feel like that is the biggest difference right there. Now, like I said, those 3 tiers is what you want to hit. You want to become a divine feminine. This is evaluating your reactions to the world. Doing away with things like anger, frustration, rage, fear. All those low vibrational aspects of personalities have to be done away with. Doing away with actions that are low vibrational. Gossip, fighting, bickering, backbiting. All of that has to go when you are becoming a divine feminine. Because you no longer live in a place of judging others, because you've looked at yourself enough that you are accepting of others. So hitting divinity is important. So it takes you fine-tuning those things. To really start, what I would say to do is definitely sit with yourself and think of the aspects of you that if you no longer partook in, who you would be. Now, because we do know of our behaviors, our actions, we know. you know the ones. Just take some time and look at those things. Now, I'm going to pull 3 cards on the archetype of divine feminine and then sacred. First one we have is overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. So you live in abundance. First off, as a divine feminine. Great, I got 3. That's exactly what I wanted. We have reconciliations, inspiration, and radical acceptance. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you. So So crowning all of this is the abundance, because that's the first thing. As a feminine, you don't live in lack. It just is what it is. You can't live in lack because you live in receptivity. Everything you want comes to you, and it comes to you easily. And that is a mantra you can say every single day. Everything I want comes to me, and it comes to me easily. Every day. Now let me get 3 for the sovereign. First one is just dropping the card, you guys. Luck and right timing. That's true. You live in divine timing, and you tend to know exactly when to move. This next one is obstacles. You get over obstacles easily. Okay, it's like your senses become so heightened that you sense when an obstacle is coming. You get alerted by your spirit team when an obstacle is coming. And when it comes, it's no longer even an obstacle. It's like you've been so prepared that it can't even hit you. It's like someone's about to throw a ball at you. And the day before, someone said, oh no, they're going to throw a ball at you tomorrow. The day of, they're like, watch out for the ball. And then right before the person throws the ball, do you see their hand, the ball in their hand? How do you, it's like you can't miss in a way, which is weird with the ball. You can't miss. Let me get one more. Ego sublimation. Yes. So you no longer live in ego. There is no ego. You accept who you are. So it doesn't even matter what anyone else thinks or how anyone thinks of you. So you become your highest self. Unapologetically, happily. And there's nothing to sway you from that. So now, of course, it's not anyone's job to sway someone to become the sovereign feminine. I definitely will say strive for that divine feminine. Again, if you can't do anything, live in plenty, live in overflow. And that is your divine right as a feminine, to live in overflow. But you see the perks when it comes to being a sovereign feminine, where it may take a lot more discipline. The connection there, it's amazing. I'll tell you that much. There's not much that I can, do besides saying that. Yeah, it's just, yeah. All right, so I'm going to leave this one here. Feel free to comment if you felt this helped you. If you need a bit more understanding, drop a comment saying, a little more, please. Maybe that little emoji in which is like, send me that. And I will reach out to you personally. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. And I will catch you in the next video.